1971, the Stanford prison experiment told the world something terrifying, that ordinary people given power, it can go straight to their head. Okay, here we go. It's me, David. Wanted to do something a little bit different because obviously you've just been staring at a screen or a picture listening to me. I'll give you a sneak peek behind the weird curtain. Like that. I just wanted to push myself, see if I could do it, because this is all new to me. What are we on now? Episode 9. But yeah, welcome back. Welcome to anyone new. Welcome. I'm probably going to bore some of you. Some of you might find it interesting. Some of you, a small percentage of you might find me funny somewhere. But that's not why I'm doing it. So yeah, here we go. Let's kick things off. Yeah. So, this is a story about the Stanford prison experiment. An experiment that claimed to prove something quite chilling. That ordinary people, given power, will become very, very cruel. It's been taught in classes, in schools, and I know this because my wife is a teacher, or she was a teacher, and she's the one that told me about this on that very special first date where she couldn't believe how lucky she was. Referenced in courtrooms. Yeah, I'm not sure of the cases, but yeah, it's been referenced. Used to explain real-world abuse from prisons to war zones. But what if that story isn't the full story? What if one of the most famous experiments in psychology wasn't really human nature at all, but it was constructed? So why does this experiment exist? To understand this properly, you have to step back into America back in the 1960s, early 70s, something like that, around that time. Crime rates were rising, prisons were overcrowded, there were riots, like real riots, like proper riots, not someone throwing a bag of chips at a chippy window. The question dominating psychology wasn't abstract, it was urgent. Why do prisons become violent? Is it the people inside them? Is it the system itself? Enter Philip Zimbardo, a respected psychologist at Stanford University. He wanted to answer that question, but instead of studying real prisons, he decided to just build one. A little bit of an experiment, I'll give it a go. So he placed an advert in the local newspaper. Male college students wanted for psychological study of prison life, paying $10 a day. Over 70 people applied. They were screened very, very carefully. Psychological tests, interviews, background checks. The goal was simple. Remove extremes. No violent tendencies, no mental health issues. Just normal people. Everything I'm not. Anyway. 24 were selected. And this bit's important. Because what happened next has often been used as proof that anyone could become cruel. But that only matters if what you're saying is real, if you get me. The participants were randomly divided into two groups, no structure, just guards and prisoners. No personality matching, no psychological alignment, just split straight down the middle, half of you over there, half of you over there. Just pure chance. Now at this point, everything still looked sciencey, controlled and neutral. But that starts to break down almost immediately. Almost. It lasted a day or two. Prisoners weren't told to arrive at the experiment. They were arrested at their homes by real police, handcuffed, searched, driven away in squad cars. I mean, this guy went all out. Like, this wasn't necessary for data collection. It was theatre, basically. It was designed to create shock, disorientation, and from that moment on, the line between experiment and experience started to blur. Once inside the mock prison, which was set up in a basement, things escalated quite rapidly. But prisoners were strip searched, deloused, given smocks instead of clothes, no underwear, it's a privilege apparently, a chain locked to one ankle, and a number. Your name was irrelevant. You're a number now, boy. This wasn't just role play anymore. This was deliberate psychological conditioning. Identity removal, dehumanization. This matters because later people would say, look how quickly they broke. But the environment was built to make them break. The guards were given uniforms, batons, mirrored sunglasses, so their eyes couldn't be seen, and instructions, not strict rules, but guidance. Maintain order, establish control, and here's where things get critical, because later evidence suggests they weren't just left to figure it out. They weren't just, go on, you go and be a prison guard. It wasn't like that. They were nudged and encouraged, shown what being a guard was supposed to look like. It's a bit unfair. I mean, I don't know how you could teach the other lot. This is what being a criminal looks like. At first, everything feels uncertain. They were very awkward. By the way, there's a movie about this, which is absolutely fantastic. At first, uncertain, awkward, guards unsure how far to go, prisoners unsure how to react. It feels like a simulation. A bit uncomfortable, a bit manageable, but that don't last. Day 2. On the second day, the prisoners push back. They barricade their cells, refuse orders, challenge authority. We all like doing that. We all like, little dig, see how far I can push it before he punches me. But saying that, we used to go out on a Saturday night and say, if I don't get a hide-in tonight, I never will. For those of you that are not Welsh, a hide-in means a good pasting, a battering, beaten up and put in hospital. Never did. Never had a punch. It's because I'm so lovable. Anyway, I digress. Challenged authority. And this is the moment everything changes, because the guards don't de-escalate the situation. They escalate it. They use fire extinguishers to force compliance, strip prisoners naked, remove their beds, drag them into isolation. And this is often presented as spontaneous brutality. But here's the question, really. Were they discovering cruelty or performing what they believed was expected? Things are escalating now. Proper system building. The guards begin to create structure, punishments, rewards, hierarchy. Some prisoners are given privileges, others are deprived food, sleep, dignity, and slowly something predictable happens: division. The prisoners stop acting as a group. They turn on each other, trying to gain favour, trying to survive the system. And this is powerful to watch because it looks real. But again, it was kind of engineered because of the guards had that sort of direction. Within 36 hours, the first breakdown occurs. So, prisoner 8612 begins screaming, crying, "I can't take it anymore," and he's removed. Others follow. Prisoner 819 collapses emotionally. At one point, guards chant, "819 is a bad prisoner." That's not very nice, is it? You're bad, you are. Bad boy. Over and over until he believes it. This is often cited as proof of how fragile people are under pressure. But consider this. This wasn't random pressure. It was targeted, constructed, and reinforced. At one stage, prisoners are offered parole hearings, a chance to leave, but it had a catch. Everything has a catch. They must give up their payment. Some refuse, and this is presented as shocking. They thought it was real. But again, look at the structure. They were arrested, processed, controlled, stripped of identity, placed under authority, told rules, punished for breaking them. The environment wasn't neutral. It was immersive manipulation. Okay, so what was the guards' performance versus reality? Yeah. Now we get to one of the most important parts of the story. The guards, one guard in particular, becomes infamous, nicknamed John Wayne. Sadistic, creative in the punishment, escalating behaviour. For years, he was used as an example of how power corrupts you. But later, he said something different. He admitted he was acting, playing the role he thought the experiment required. And this changes everything. Then, what are you actually measuring? Yeah? Human nature or compliance? A tricky one. So, the creator, Zimbardo, what was his role in all of this? He wasn't just observing. He became the prison superintendent. He made decisions, oversaw the punishments, allowed escalation. He later admitted, and I quote, "I was no longer a researcher," which raises a critical issue. If the person running the experiment becomes part of the system, can the results still be considered objective? So, day 6, intervention. Yeah? A lady called Christina Maslach walks in. She sees prisoners with bags over their heads, chains on their legs, guards treating them as less than human. And she says, "This is terrible." Not as a scientist. Not as a scientist, as just a human. and suddenly the spell breaks. The experiment is shut down after 6 days, not 14. So it must have been bad. And for decades, the conclusion is repeated. Power corrupts, situations define behaviour. Ordinary people become monsters. So the crack in the story, I suppose you could call it a crack. Over time, researchers started asking the harder questions, like where's the control group? Why were guards given suggestive instructions? Why were participants so heavily manipulated from the start? Why were contradictory behaviours ignored? That's just plain ignored. Just, I don't know. And most importantly, why did the narrative stay so simple? Because it was compelling, because it was to understand, because it confirmed something we already feared. Pretty much it. So here's the part that sticks with me, okay? Not the guards, not the prisoners, but the idea that people don't need to be forced into their roles. They just need to be shown them. Given a structure, a system, a little bit of permission, and they'll fill in the rest. Which is what the human brain likes to do anyway. You know, if you don't understand something like a poltergeist or a ghost, humans have a tendency to just fill in the gaps. When even something simple like remembering a story or remembering an act that happened, the truth sometimes becomes not the truth. You know, you add little bits in. It's the human brain. It's nature. We're all like it. That's it, really. I mean, it's a fascinating story. I touched on it. I'd never heard about it up until about 8 years ago. My wife told me about it. She teaches it. It's I'll have to put the link to the movie in the bio or something, because it is an absolutely fascinating watch. It really is good. Sorry I can't tell you more about that. I didn't think the movie was going to come up for some reason. It's a bit stupid, but that's me. So this has been The Other Side of Normal, my very own podcast. And I'm very, very proud of it. Where the stories aren't just told, I question them. I do my best research I can in the time I have. I got a full-time job, 4 kids and a wife. And I'm pretty sure my wife would probably say that she's just got 4 kids and me. Or just say 5 kids. Because she does everything. She's a proper trooper. I'm not going to get all soppy now, because I'm not like that. But she is number one. If you've made it this far, follow me, subscribe, share. I'm not going to preach about it, because it's just not me. I'm not doing it for that. This has become my hobby now, and I am thoroughly enjoying myself. But what I do want is for people to let me know what they think. If it's shit, tell me it's shit. I don't care, I'm a big boy. But I'm very much of the opinion that I don't see a negative feedback as like a dig. I learn from it. You can't learn unless you're willing to make mistakes. I am willing to make mistakes. And I am willing to listen if I get something wrong as well. My missus would disagree with that. Conversation matters more than the conclusion of any story I do. So just let me know. Because one of the most famous experiments in history can convince the world of something that might not be entirely true. Then the real question isn't what it proved. It's how many other things we believe feel real, but were quietly built that way.